Did you know that Inanna, the goddess of love, war, and fertility, was not always the radiant, powerful figure she is known to be? Her story, a tale whispered through the ages, speaks of a descent into the abyss, a journey that tested her very essence and forever changed the landscape of the underworld. It began with a yearning, a desire to claim the throne of the underworld, a realm ruled by her sister, Ereshkigal, the queen of the dead. Inanna, ever ambitious, sought to expand her dominion, to claim the power that lay hidden beneath the earth. She adorned herself in her finest garments, a dazzling display of her divine power. Her eyes, like polished obsidian, reflected the fire of her ambition. She wore 7 garments, each representing a different aspect of her divine nature, a testament to her strength and beauty. With a heart filled with both excitement and trepidation, Inanna set out for the underworld, a journey that would take her through 7 gates, each guarded by a terrifying demon. At the first gate, she was stripped of her crown, a symbol of her earthly power. At the second, her scepter, a symbol of her authority, was taken. At the third, her necklace, a symbol of her beauty, was removed. At the fourth, her bracelets, a symbol of her wealth, were taken. At the fifth, her girdle, a symbol of her femininity, was removed. At the sixth, her sandals, a symbol of her freedom, were taken. And finally, at the 7th gate, she was stripped of her garments, leaving her naked and vulnerable. Inanna, now stripped of her earthly power and divine adornments, stood before Ereshkigal, her sister, the queen of the underworld. The air crackled with tension, the silence heavy with unspoken words. Ereshkigal, her eyes cold and calculating, looked upon Inanna with disdain. She saw her sister's ambition, her desire for power, and her arrogance. "You have come to claim my throne," Ereshkigal said, her voice a chilling whisper. "But you have come unprepared. You have not brought the offerings, the sacrifices, the respect due to the queen of the underworld." Inanna, her voice trembling, tried to reason with her sister. "I have come in peace," she pleaded. "I seek only to share your power, to rule alongside you." But Ereshkigal was not to be swayed. She had seen Inanna's ambition, her desire to rule, and she knew that Inanna would never be content to share power. She ordered her demons to bind Inanna, to hang her on a hook, and to leave her to die. Inanna, her body racked with pain, her spirit waning, felt the cold grip of death closing in. She cried out to her father, Anu, the god of the heavens, to save her. But Anu, fearing the wrath of Ereshkigal, refused to intervene. Inanna, her life force fading, was left to die in the darkness of the underworld. Her body, once radiant with life, became a lifeless husk, a testament to the power of Ereshkigal. But Inanna's spirit, her essence, refused to be extinguished. She had been a goddess of life, of fertility, and her spirit, even in death, refused to be silenced. She called upon Ninshubur, her faithful handmaiden, to seek help from the gods. Ninshubur, heartbroken and desperate, traveled to the heavens, pleading with the gods to save her mistress. She told them of Inanna's fate, of her death in the underworld, and of the darkness that had descended upon the land. The gods, moved by Ninshubur's pleas, sent the messenger god, Ninshubur's brother, Ninshubura, to the underworld. He was to find Inanna and bring her back to life. Ninshubura, armed with the power of the gods, descended into the underworld. He found Inanna hanging on the hook, her body lifeless, her spirit fading. He saw the darkness that had consumed her, the despair that had gripped her soul. He knew that he had to act quickly, that he had to bring her back to life. He used his divine power to break the chains that bound her, to release her from the hook. He then used his divine power to revive her, to breathe life back into her body. Inanna, her body weak, her spirit weary, was brought back to life. But she was not the same. She had seen the darkness of the underworld, the power of death, and she had been changed. She returned to the land of the living, but she was no longer the same. She had seen the darkness, and she had been touched by death. She had learned the power of the underworld, and she had learned the fragility of life. She returned to her temple, but she was no longer the same. She was no longer the radiant, powerful goddess of love, war, and fertility. She was now a goddess of both life and death, a goddess who understood the cycle of existence, the ebb and flow of life and death. Her journey to the underworld had changed her, had made her wiser, had made her more compassionate. She had seen the darkness, and she had emerged from it, a changed goddess, a goddess who understood the true meaning of life and death. Inanna's descent into the underworld became a legend, a story whispered through the ages, a story that spoke of the power of death, the fragility of life, and the enduring spirit of a goddess who dared to challenge the very boundaries of existence. Her story became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most powerful of gods are not immune to the forces of death. It became a story of resilience, of the power of the human spirit to overcome even the greatest of challenges. And it became a story of transformation, of the power of death to change us, to make us wiser, to make us more compassionate. Inanna's descent into the underworld was a journey that changed her, that changed the world, and that continues to inspire and challenge us to this day. It is a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, there is always the possibility of rebirth, and there is always the power of the human spirit to overcome even the greatest of challenges. Inanna's story is a story of life, death, and rebirth, a story that speaks to the very essence of our existence. It is a story that reminds us that we are all connected, that we are all part of a larger cycle, and that even in death, there is always the possibility of renewal. Inanna's story is a story that will continue to be told for generations to come, a story that will continue to inspire and challenge us, a story that will continue to remind us of the power of the human spirit, the fragility of life, and the enduring power of love.